Hi, it's Kathy from Raven Vintage. Welcome back to my craft room. Come on in. I have room for everybody. Come on in. And welcome back to 100 Ways to Use Scraps. Today is our multi-project day. From the 100 Ways to Use Scraps, we are going to do project number 53. That's doodle and mark making. 54, stencil scrap panels. And 55, torn paper composition. So let me tell you what I have out. I have, first of all, for the doodling, I have those pens that I bought yesterday at the dollar store. I have my tray of stuff, which I'm going to show you in a minute. I also have out some markers, which I'll tell you about those in a minute also. And then moving on into the stenciling, of course, I have out a brush. I only have one little pack of stencils. I'm not a big stencil guy, but I have, you have your favorites and that's enough, in my opinion. And then I have a bunch of ink colors to experiment with. And again, you only need a couple, it doesn't matter. And then for the torn paper composition, we're going to just use simply scraps. That's going to be fun too. Okay, so let's start with the doodle and mark making on our scraps. So when I think of doodles, I just want you to think of, sorry, this is really tiny, but a circle, an X, a square, a triangle, a dash, a U, an N, a straight line, a squiggle, Humpty Dumps, XOXO, lightning bolts, all the things. And we don't need to get carried away, and it's not difficult, and anybody can make marks. So we're also going to do a few little flowers and stuff. So here I wanted to show you, when you take a collage piece you've already done, and we use a black felt pen of some sort, something very thin, you can do flowers, butterflies, birds, just some vines on some of the more neutral bits, and it still blends in nicely with your collage. And then I want you to remember a principle. This comes from my sister: light to show dark and dark to show light. So we're going to use our darker pens on the lighter paper. And then if you have dark paper, we're going to use a lighter pen. So in this case, this is the metallic marker that I got at the dollar store. And I wanted to mention, it's imported through Ottawa, Ontario. And they have gold, silver, blue, rose, white, purple, and copper from that $1 store I went to yesterday that I told you about. So here I used the white marker on top of something black. It was pretty stark, so it calmed it down a little bit. I don't know also, and I'll try to show you here, I used the white marker on the dark blue flower. So I'll just show you this one quick because we probably won't do a lot with this. But just kind of outlining the petals just kind of softens a little bit. And if you're doing vintage style journals like me, you might want to have something like this in your inventory, because in your toolbox, because we like to soften things a little bit. So having this as an option to put on something dark can certainly help. So you see this flower right here, it already has doodle marks on it. I didn't do that. That's the paper. But you could follow suit, and you could just go on top of the dots that they made and the lines just real faint, just to soften the edge of that flower a bit. Now look at that one compared to that one. So that's something to keep in mind. This is just from the dollar store. I'm sure there's much better quality white markers out there, paint pens, whatever they're called, but I thought that one was pretty decent for $1.50 or whatever it was. What was it? I don't know now. I've cut the thing off. Okay, so this is in my desk. My granddaughter actually helped me clear this out the other day. We sat down. Actually, this was over the Christmas holidays, I think. We took some blank paper and we tried every single marker and Sharpie in my drawer, and we got rid of all the dry ones, and she loved it. So great activity to do with the grandkids. So this is in my drawer to my left. So I keep gold and silver here in this spot. This is how I separate things. This helps my brain. I have my erasers here because they fit, because these are mostly short. So I have this space here. I have all my blacks in here. So I have my Sharpies, my fabric marker, some of those very thin ultra fine point black pens. This is a paint marker. So these are all black. And then over here, I have my colored Sharpies, thin, thick, and my highlighters. So I have thin Sharpies, and then I purchased a package of colored Sharpies. These are great when the grandkids are over. They love these. So it's a package of primary colors, basically. And then you've got your black. And so I have this package of Sharpies like this. And probably one of the black ones came with it. That one, gold one's actually supposed to be over here. It can't come with the kit. Did I have it out today? I think I did. And then I have my my thin ones, and then I have my highlighters in here as well. Okay, and then I have pens and pencils, and I have my good set of pencils that I got as a gift from the archivist when I was working there. And then I have pens and pencils and a few more erasers in here. And an eyeball. Not sure why that's in there. Who knows? Okay, I'm not sure how that ended up in there, but it did. And then usually I have a pencil sharpener, but it's in a different spot in my little thing. So I'm going to keep that handy. And this I got from, of all places, Winners. Winners is like a home sense. And they once in a while have craft supplies. And this was on the end aisle on clearance. So I grabbed that. They blend, they're quick dry, and they're non-toxic. So I know some people have whole things of markers. It's not something I would do very often, but I'm glad to have them. And because of markers, I wanted to show you something also that I do with the grandkids that I think you might even enjoy. If you need a stress reliever, if you've had a crappy day and you want to zen, calm down, this is so much fun. Let me grab, I start with, so my granddaughter and I, we each have a blank piece of paper, usually not text, but we start out and we start at a corner and we're like, okay, go. And then we do this. We make all these swirlies, and then one of us says stop. And then what you do is you color in, you take all different colors, so it ends up looking like stained glass. And then you just color in one section at a time. And then when you're all done, and the whole thing is full, you go through with your black marker again and retrace over top. And it's beautiful. The kids love it. So here's the chisel. It's a little bit, maybe that's too close of a color, but that's a different purple. You can just fill in every single block. This is really, really stress relieving, I have to be honest. And it's also really easy for the grandkids to do. So they love this. Another color purple. Yeah, they're just a little bit different. So you could stick with like all one color and do this all in purples, and then just kind of spread these out so that they're close by but not too close. So this isn't really a vintage style thing, but I really did want to share this little activity with you because it is so much fun. So perhaps I'll finish that later and insert a picture here for you into the video so you can see what that looks like when it's all done. Okay, so let's move on from there. Back here. Okay, let's take, which one do we want to do? How about this one right here? I'm going to use one of these fine tip markers I got at the dollar store. It's black, and I have a fairly light collage here to work with. So there's quite a bit of light stuff here. So let's do maybe a little, I'm not super great at this, and I'm sorry about the shadows. I'll try to, which way to turn? Maybe this way is the best way to turn. So maybe just a little line, and then when you're making leaves, just remember you want a point and a point. So curve out that way and then curve the other way. And then you can do some sort of a little line. You can do 3 lines, whatever you like. But just keep that point and point. Come back in, meet your point. So even when you're doing it really, really small, and that was someone's advice the other day, thank you, I'm sorry. I can picture, I'm trying to remember who said it, is the advice was keep your stuff really small when you're starting out, when you're doodling. Now, I'm not sure if she meant like this or if she was talking about more of the, so in and out like that. So that's one thing we can do. And then of course you can add little lines to it like that. And then we can do another thing going this way. And we can do like maybe an echinacea type of thing. So it has like a ovally round here. And let's do like a teardrop. So we're going to do, so here's the circle thing. I'm just doing it bigger so you can see. So it has a side and it kind of blobs out and comes back in, but not to a point. These are more flat petals with the echinacea. So like that, and just start right at the next spot there. Wide, kind of wide at the bottom. Wide at the bottom. Wide at the bottom. Wide at the bottom. And it comes in, but they don't quite meet at the, I'll round that up a little bit higher. So there's my little echinacea plant. I don't know what the leaves look like on an echinacea plant, but I'm just going to do kind of the same thing. Okay. And maybe we'll do another little simple, just a little vine type thing. No flowers, just greenery, technically. Like that. Okay, so we've got some little flowers going there. And then of course, so then let's do a flower up here. So we can start with a circle. And then you can just make, now we're going to do similar to the echinacea, but we're just going to do like long oval shapes like this, around and around. And then we'll come back in after and we'll make these ones a little bigger like that. We'll join them, but we're going to go all the way around. So I'm just keeping it continuous, round and round and round. I don't know if there's any plant that actually has that many petals, but we're going to pretend we do. So you can do a small one in between that looks like maybe that. Like that. And then we're just going to build on this, going in between. Turn my book. Longer, longer, in between, and then we'll make some smaller ones here. Towards the outside, just fill in those little gaps like that. And then you can make little small ones just kind of inside the big petals. So that's more of a layered kind of look like that. So that's a bit of a busy flower. So I would give this guy a little bit of a thicker stem. And there I'm just doing some lines. Okay, that's kind of big and kind of busy. I like the more simple lines quite a bit. So I'm going to do 3 flower clumps. So 1, 2, maybe 1 right here. Let's maybe do some vines like this. Get a little bit curly. And I'm just going to do squiggles along my vine on either side. Like that. Okay, and then maybe another sprout here, another sprout here. Just squiggles like that. Okay, now we can continue on, and with each of your separate little pieces of scrap that you did, you can add another kind of mark to this. So keeping in mind, we can do, let's just start with something super basic. Let's just do little circles, random little circles. And they're just kind of here, there, and everywhere. And then over here, let's do, this is kind of a big block down here. Let's do little squares like this, and just very random. I know I'm kind of going on a diagonal here. So as you can tell, not something I do on the regular, but now that you have that filled in, you could go in between them with tiny dots. So you can go in between these with just tiny dots. It fills it in a little bit better. Speaking of dots, you guys really liked this stamping effect I did with the red ink. So I looked to see, this is from Hero Arts, but they don't make this anymore as far as I can tell. So I went looking on eBay and Etsy. So I found if you, there's a lot of cling stamps, not so much rubber stamps anymore, but on eBay you can still find some wooden block stamps with either look for, this one was called Tiny Jubilee Dots. So look up stamps and dots, like Google that, or look in eBay or Etsy, and polka dots also. That's a great, if you see one of those when you're out thrifting or even at an antique mall sometimes, well, I know I sell stamps at an antique mall, but I have actually purchased stamps at antique malls, or eBay, or anyway, even if it's $10, $15, I would say grab it, because that is one you will use forever and quite a bit. Okay, what else can we do here? So I'm trying to space this out, maybe put something maybe here. And then we can just do some lines like this. And then you can come across with these lines and you can go one angle and then change the angle. Change the angle. Change the angle. Depends on what you want to fill in. If you want it filled in a lot or a little. Okay, now something else we can do. I don't know how well this will show up, but it's white, it should. We can make a dot inside our dots, our little circles. That gives them a little bit of a lift. And we can even do the dots inside. Oh, let's try yellow. Let's see if yellow is going to show up enough on here. It might. Let's see. It's going to do a dot inside those squares. That's not a bad color. Okay, so let's try something else. Let's try just doing kind of dashes along the edge of this. See this piece right here? Let's try just doing some dashes. My dogs are talking to me. Okay, cute. Or you could also do little dots, little circle dots. And it's not a lot, but it's just a little bit to add something to it. You can also just trace some of these flowers that are existing, which is really pretty to do. See the petals, the sunflower? And I'm just tracing the outline of that flower. That's really pretty. I like that. Okay, and then maybe on here, just black. There's a lot of black right there. Let's see what else you could do. Just a second. Maybe you could just do X and O's. So teeny tiny. You know what you're making when you're making it. But it just looks like some random pattern. like that. And it's very faint and it doesn't show up a lot, but just to add something to your piece. Okay, let's do something with, let's move to a different color. Okay, so playing off of this yellow, and then you see there's a little bit of a turquoisey green in there. Okay, let's take her pretty dress here and let's just add some polka dots to her dress. Let's outline her dress a little bit. So I'm just going to use one of these roller ball pens. Just really lightly, just kind of wispy little lines. Maybe her bow. Add some of those lines in here. And then her little collar. That's cute. I like that. Okay, fun. So I think this is probably my favorite thing to do, especially here. Like, see where I outline the flowers, and just see this. Okay, there's a flower there already in the, so I'm just going to outline the petals with the black like that. That's really, I like doing that sort of thing. That's pretty. Here's another one. Like that. Pretty. And then again, to soften up something like that that's darker and you think, oh, that's a little bit too dark, like say this business here, for my, just do a bunch of lines this way, a bunch of lines that way, follow that line. You can soften it up quickly with your white markers. Just kind of soften that one piece up a bit if it's standing out too stark. So see how this one's kind of stark. So let's just kind of follow the lines on that. Just soften it up a little bit. Okay, let's move on. That was fun. That was fun. Let's move on. So don't forget dots, outlining, little doodles, dashes, all the tiny little, think of all the symbols on your keyboard, and you can just replicate those with a pen. Okay, we are going to do stencil scrap panels. Okay, very fun with these yellow streaks. So I'm going to use some of these in my project today, and I'm going to make panels that we can later add to our paper panels. So just grabbing some strips here. Doesn't matter what size, they can all be different sizes. And like I said, I just have stencils out. And remember again the rule, light to show dark, dark to show light. So this is fairly light, so I can go with a darker color. If I were to use a light pink on here, it might not show, but sometimes that's what we're going for. So I've got a couple pinks, I have a couple greens. I have antique linen. I have these out from the other day, the reds. And of course I have my vintage photo. So let's just start with simple vintage photo. So these are just, again, a mass make, something to have a nice stock of, because you may wish to just grab one of these later when you're making your paper panels. So I'm just using a soft brush. I have these in my Etsy shop, and this set of stencils as well. This particular set. There's, I forget how many is in there. 8 pieces. They're all floral or that kind of design. Now you guys can use washi tape and tape your stencil down if you need to. I'm pretty happy with just moving it. See how it just shifted? Well, you can just move it back. Okay, so there is just a stenciled panel, and it would be so nice to have a bunch of these. So again, a very fun mass make project. So let's compare some colors here. So that's the vintage photo on the same paper. Let's try it in, I'll just use a different, I'll just keep alternating stencils and not think about it so that we can just see how it's gonna go. Let's try something lighter, see if it even shows up. And if it does, what it looks like. Like I said, sometimes that's just exactly what you're going for. Or this one's not that as light as I thought. Oh, this one's actually a little darker than I thought. So, okay, ignore that. I think I was just kind of thrown by the cover. Pink's pretty on this color. I love these colors together. Vintage junk journals especially. So how pretty is that? When I'm doing journals, I really like to just do a corner, and I like to do a fade. So let me show you what I mean on this white paper. So a little heavier in the corner, and as I come out, I'm just going to lighten the pressure on my, a little heavier and then very light, and kind of feather out from the corner. A little heavier in the corner. So it just kind of fades into the page. Maybe I'll show you over here. A little darker, yep. So again, heavy in the corner and then lighten up your pressure as you come out the page, from the corner I mean, sorry. And it just is dark in the corner and it fades into the page. I really love doing that in my journals. Okay, so we've done a pink and a brown, like the vintage photo. Can you hear my wash machine going in the background? It's spinning right now. Okay, green. Now, this is a really nice addition to those paper panels we made the other day. You could either use these as backgrounds or the top piece. And again, I'm just making good use of my test prints that are no good for anything because of that striping, that yellow streak on my prints. And there we go. Let's see. That's really pretty too. Quite like that green on there. We try this. Let's try a really light one this time. Let's try antique linen and see if it actually does anything. Get rid of this green. Maybe try this kind of rosebud one. When I'm done with these, I like to wash them with a little gentle water and just a little bit of dish soap, and then let them dry out completely. Seems to be the best method. Just a really tiny little bit of soap though, because I don't want to coat or clog up the fine bristles. Okay, that looks good. All right, let's try this very light antique linen. See what happens. It's an experiment. Oh yeah, I'm coming, Ruby. Just a sec, honey. I need to finish this panel before I can pause, I think. This might be just enough of a pattern on top of the paper just to give it a little bit of something without taking away from, let's say you were going to use this as a background and add a Tim Holtz dolly or something. So you didn't want just plain paper, although this had text on it. Script, I should say. Yes, Ruby, I'm coming. One more. Okay, I'm coming. All right, I will be right back for a reveal. Just 1 second. Okay, let's see what this one looks like. Oh, very pretty. Isn't that gorgeous? That might be my favorite. Okay, let's see what we ended up with. That was the antique linen. A lot of us have that one. Especially those of us that started out with just a few colors. And walnut might be the other one. So I don't know, was it a package? I don't know. I ended up buying all these ones you see with the little sticker on them. I bought a whole, I forget how many's in the pack, like there were, Facebook Marketplace from someone. It was such a good deal. I think it was $50 and I got like so many colors. And they're lasting pretty well because I don't use them that often. Oh, this is nice. I even like that palette right there. That's really pretty. Oh, but this is what I was getting at. So if you have like a dolly with just a little simple background behind, it doesn't really take away from it, but like from your image. Oh, I like that. Let's do some sort of contrast and something or other here. Oh, like so nice. I like that very much. If you have the stencils out, you might as well make a bunch of stuff while you have them out, right? Because then you wash them after, let them dry, put them away. I know some of you have your stencils hanging right close by all the time. I don't have them in my like zone 2. They're more of a zone 3, a little further away. I don't use them that often, but yes. And then when you go even, oh, look at that. Not the right sizes, but we could do some paper panels just with the stencils we made. How fun. Okay, so I think you get the idea there. Another great mass make project, so we will add those to our book. And now a torn paper composition. So if this helps at all, either look at a picture you have on the wall of a landscape, or find just a simple landscape picture on your phone and keep it beside you while you're working, or on your computer or your tablet. Just find a simple landscape. And then we're going to just basically do the ground, grass, and then we're going to do sky and clouds. Okay, so we're going to kind of do some layers. But this is what I want you to do. Get your scraps and think of those colors. So green grass, let's say, and then a blue sky and white clouds. Back to my faithful little glue book here. It's going to find a page. Is that right on the back of something? I can't do that right there. I found a page. Okay, so let's think of this. Let's do a rolling hill, and then a rolling hill like this. So there's 3 greens, and then we're going to do probably some cloud area in this section, and then this will be blue. Okay, it's a little small. I think I might make that a little bigger. I want to make the foreground more. Let's start again, sorry. Let me maybe start from the top. I'm going to do maybe that much blue and that much white. Okay, now I know. So this, that, and this. So sections, right? Like nothing crazy. Let's start with the sky. Let's just do some strips for the sky. And we're going to start gluing, and this is fun. This is fun. It's going to be quite abstract. Sky here. So this is the very first strip of sky, and let's layer our sky. We're just tearing. Okay, and I want ripped edges on top. And here's where, you know how when we tear forwards and backwards and we get the white look? We actually kind of like, you might like the white look in this, the white edge in this particular project. Let's see if that's quite wide enough. Looks good to me. You see what I mean? Because this little white edge actually gives you a little contrast between each layer, which is kind of neat. So it looks like maybe I can do one more sky piece. So let's go here. Actually, let's do a third color of sky. Yeah. So again, this one is the sky. So far, I'm just doing, which way do I want to go? I want to go this way. We're just doing what do I want to say here? Strips. That took a while to come out, Kathy. Cut that off. Okay, so a little glue. These are so cute when they're done. I'm going to show you one other thing you can do with this kind of composition with scraps again. And let me grab my... Okay, so our sky is done. So see how we are layering as we go and we keep coming on top. So this is where we use that white bit to our advantage. It's usually the opposite. We usually don't want the white. Okay, now we want some clouds. Clouds are easy. Same thing, we still want that white business here. And it's just a real, usually a small part of the collage is the white. So this would be your cloud section. Okay, now we get into it with the hills, the rolling hills. And we decided on 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so this is going to be my darkest one. So I'm going to just whatever falls into play here. I know it's not following my pencil marks, but I'm using the piece I have. So there's greenery. And then the next 2 pieces, I'm going to make them more pronounced as rolling hills. We're going to actually try to make a curve here. Let me get the width right first. Okay, so I want like a rolling hill this way. I'm actually going to do this kind of curve business here. Oops. Okay, so I've got like, it looks like a hill. Like that. I like that a lot. Let's do it on here, it's easier. And then here, it's not really a big enough piece, but I definitely don't want the pink. And maybe should have went the other direction, but let's see if that fits. I would have rather have gone this direction. Let me see if I can find another green. That's really dark. Oh, this is kind of neat too, like more like a beach or something. Let's do that. So I want to curve. You know what? I actually need to help myself out here. So I'm going to put this here a little high, and I'm going to come down there. I needed a line to see where I'm ripping, if that makes sense. So there's my line. To get my angle right. There we go. Okay, let's try that. Now you can come in with your pens after and you can make it look exactly, like be more literal with it. If you want to draw little trees in here or after you've done this composition. So let me just trim that off. Okay. And then I would have to trim that off when I pull it out. So that's my composition. So you kind of have rolling hills and then some clouds and a sky. Okay. So that's one option with a composition with our scraps. Make this like a bigger block because it's just simply going to be the background. Okay, so that's my sky. Also, another thing, if you want to get the depth going, let's actually maybe try something with that. If you can find like a dirt road color, let me see what we have. Here's like a darker brown. Okay, so if you picture a road and it came out like this, here's the road, and you want to show that it is a winding path and you make it smaller. Maybe that's not a great. Let me try again. Let's do it really pointy. We start here. And that path really gets smaller. That's your dirt road. Okay, so let's see what that's going to look like. Off into the distance. Just lay that there for a minute. And then here's some kind of green. I guess we could use this. I like it so far. And then, okay, so now I want you to think of trees. Oh wait, let's get our path down here. It's our road. That's not a great road, is it? It really needs to be narrower here. And this should actually technically end where the grass ends. But now let's add some little, I don't know, tree type things. So basically think of triangles with your darker bits. Okay, and trees. Cut this off. So we've got the dimension going, so it looks like we're getting further and further away. Oh, I went on the back of that. I should not have done that. Oh well. I'm going to lose one or the other when I go to use this page. Rookie move, Kathy. Rookie move. That's okay. Maybe it can be a two-sided item. And then, of course, if you want grass or something along here, well, it'd be kind of fun. There. Okay, and one more project I'm going to show you you can do is something, I've done this before, so I'm not, again, an artist, but we have a bird down like this, swoop like that, and a leg, and a leg, and a leg, and then feathers like this. He should be a little chunkier, I think. He's got a funny colored belly and a beak. Okay, so draw yourself a little bird and then literally use your paper scraps and make it color intentional. So for example, his little beak, and here's where we just do this. The basic drawing at the back, and then I mean, some people do this like beautifully professionally, and you could make a beautiful kind of a, I guess you would almost call it a mosaic, but it's definitely a torn paper composition with intention, like with a design in mind, and then something a little more abstract, like we did with the rolling hills, the clouds, and then the sky in the background. This is beautiful, and of course you can add things to that afterward, but it would be a really nice place for a quote. It would be a nice place to, of course, she's going to need to be, so she's in the foreground, right? She's up front close, so I'd put her down low, and then this is her background behind, but definitely you're going to want something behind her to contrast her. So maybe some lace or some, so that she shows up against the contrast between those. But just have fun with it. Just use your scraps, and I hope this gives you an idea to use your scraps in other ways and to do. So there's our little road with our trees. You could add a sun. You could even get kind of artsy fartsy here, and you could taking over the mountains like this to become the sun in the background. So there's lots of ideas of things you can do with your paper scraps. Look at the mess we have. How fun. We had fun today. If we made a mess like this, boy, oh boy. So I'll be putting these in my book. I think I've gone on a little bit long, so I'll do that. I'll close with you now, and I'll get these added to the book, and we'll just take a quick peek at them in my book tomorrow when we move on. So we're going to do a collage pocket front tomorrow. But yes, I'll get these added to my book. Some of these, not everything we did, but some of what we did I will add to our book. So thank goodness for a little glue book. How handy has that been? Well, I'm going to clean up now, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bye.